Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, college football fans across the nation and around the world. This is Tim May with the Tim May Show. And man, these shows just keep going on and on and on. And, I look up one day and I've got this co pilot. I look up the next day, I got this other co pilot. Well, I've got a co pilot I've been wanting to have on for a while, especially during a special week in November. But I said, what the heck? I saw him at the Ohio State Student Appreciation Day, and I guess former Student Appreciation Day, too. In his case, been wanting to have him on for a while. It's fun to jump at it here in the middle of spring. Marcus Hall, former Ohio State offensive lineman. Thanks for joining the Tim May Show.
Oh, no problem, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I mean, you're the co-pilot here, and I don't want you touching any buttons. I don't want you going off on me. You know what I mean? We'll get to that in a second. But Marcus Hall, thanks for joining me. And number two, I'm going to go ahead and get to it. I mean, you're world famous for a lot of reasons, but one of them was saluting your exit from Michigan Stadium back in 2013, saluting the crowd with the famous double eagle. I think you probably are still signing photos of that, aren't you?
Yeah, man. Yeah, the great fans in the state of Ohio won't let me forget
Yeah,
it.
but I
So,
mean, yeah, if you're going to leave Michigan Stadium and you're an Ohio State football player, and y'all also won that game. Obviously, you didn't get to really witness the win. I think you were in the locker room at that point. But
right,
what
right.
better way is there to leave Michigan Stadium when you think about it, right?
Oh, yeah, no better way, man. Like I always tell people, I don't regret it. By that time, I was already ejected out the game. So,
Yeah,
it was like whatever at that point for me.
yeah. I know, but it made you famous. I know it made you famous all us media because we love stuff that's out of the ordinary, and that was a great win by Ohio State. Tavis Powell's interception on the 2-point conversion, I think it was sealing the deal. But and it started to, perpetuated that great run under Urban Meyer, right? That
Right.
took y'all to a national championship the next year, and then kind of momentum's kind of carried on today. Not necessarily in the game. They've lost three straight, and we'll get to that in a minute with you. But I wanted to catch up with you and reflect and maybe contemplate what's coming down the road. But I definitely wanted to get your take on the Ohio State offensive line 2024. You got to watch that practice the other day, same time I did. And
hmm
I don't know, just straight up, what's your take initially on just the Ohio State offensive line from what you saw the other day? Did anybody jump out at you? Did anything about the way they were playing jump out at you? What's your take?
Man, well, I really didn't know what to expect, to be honest, as far as the offensive line. I know they got a lot of moving parts. They don't really have solidified starters right now at this point. I know they got some transfer that came in, and I know Donovan Jackson is kind of like the veteran down
Yeah,
there, um, and he's kind of like anchoring the O line. So I know he's solidified, and I know what he brings to the table, but. I think I also seen Coach Fry say they were still had a long way to go. So I think they're working a lot out, and you can kind of tell at practice, but the good thing is it's just spring and they got a lot of time to really gel and come together. So I don't know, man. I'm looking forward to see who the starters will be. But like I said, I know Donovan Jackson. He's a guy that probably will get drafted pretty high and like pretty have a pretty solid season. So
yeah,
that's a place to start.
yeah. There's a place to start, and there's a guy that could have left for the NFL and probably gotten drafted in a decent round at least. But he's one of the many players on this 2024 team that have opted to come back and
Right.
take another shot at Michigan. Right on down the line, take another shot at winning a Big Ten championship. They haven't played for a Big Ten championship in 3 years. That's hard to figure,
Yeah.
right? Based on
Yeah.
the,
Yeah.
but yet they've played at an elite level anyway. And you know, just as I'm not looking for deep analysis from you, but from what you saw like last year and stuff, just offensive line wise, in a couple of big games they had, really, what did you sense was sort of lacking? I mean, obviously they lorded over, several other teams, but in that, good on good or like on like kind of confrontations, they kind of had trouble establishing a consistent run game and at times consistent pass protection. But what just stood out about you that you think they need to get fixed?
Man, I know they had some injuries last year in there. And I know they had some things go on with the center at the center position. Not really sure what that was about, but
Yeah.
yeah, it just didn't seem like they were solidified, like, and they could have that confidence, to go out there and dominate like they were supposed to. But I don't know. I think at times, I think the running game it showed flashes of looking real good, So it's like if we can get, that to where it's supposed to be, I think they'll be good, and the passing game and everything will follow. Because
Yeah.
they got, the backfield, man. They got an amazing backfield with the running backs. They actually the whole offense, the receivers looked good, so they take care of they part, do their job. We should be unstoppable, to be honest.
Yeah. It's kind of like I always use terms, and always use aircraft or auto racing terms, or analogies, and they've got all the weapons, man. If the wings, which is the offensive line, if it comes into play, like you said, Quinshawn Judkins and Travion Henderson and Dallin Hayden, and even that young man James Peoples out of San Antonio in the running back spots. I mean, they all showed something on Saturday, and then round down the line, Jeremiah Smith. I don't know if you got a chance to meet him after practice, but the freshman wide receiver from Florida, you throw him in there with Carnell Tate and Emeka Egbuka. You know what I'm
Yeah,
talking about, Jeremiah Smith. I mean,
yeah,
he looks the part, man. And then that Jelani Thurman, obviously G. Scott's back at tight end, but Jelani Thurman at number 15 uh, at tight end. Wow, does he look the part,
yeah,
right? I mean,
for sure,
just
for
jumps
sure.
out at you, right? Go ahead.
Yeah, yeah, no, like you said, man, it was exciting to watch. You don't always expect so much from guys that haven't played or you haven't seen them play, but these
Yeah.
guys, you could tell they're the real deal, and it's just exciting. And I'm excited. I'm sure all the Buckeye fans are excited to see, what they're gonna bring to the table. So, it's gonna be a big year for sure.
Hey, as a former player, I'm just wondering what your take is on the transfer portal, because theoretically, Ohio State could have Seth McLaughlin starting at center. We'll see how
Right.
that goes at battle with Carson Hinsman. Uh, we'll see how that who started last year, and like you pointed out, the reason he got this really was sort of a premature, uh, what do you want to call it, premature uh, call there, because Luke Whippler kind of left him high and dry with a kind of a stunning decision to go to the NFL draft last year. He ended up with the
Hmm.
Browns, but then Carson Hinsman got the promotion. But now you got Seth McLaughlin, who started the last 2 years for Alabama at center. He's transferred in. There's a good battle going on there, but you could have him snapping to Will Howard, you know, the uh,
Yeah.
the transfer quarterback from Kansas State, and then right on down the line, he could be handing off or pitching to Quinshawn Judkins, a transfer
Mhm.
running back from Ole Miss. And those are three fairly significant positions on a football team to be now counting on out of the transfer portal, isn't it?
Yeah, no, for sure. Then that's exactly what this new deal with the transfer portal will get you. Three brand new guys, you know, um,
Who are proven.
great talents.
Yeah.
Yeah, great talents. Yeah, like you said, proven. They all would have probably got drafted if they wouldn't have not even came here. So they great talents, and I mean, I'm happy to have them. I'm sure all the Buckeye fans happy to have them, coaches. But it's different. It's different, a lot different than what I'm used to. Guys used to, that was almost the last resort when I played
Yeah.
transferring because they dreaded sitting out that 1 year. You losing a whole year, and nobody wants to do that. But now, they can decide they want to leave and be wearing a different helmet tomorrow. So
And
it's just like amazing.
dude, they can decide to leave, and then after spring ball, they could decide to leave again. I mean, that's how
Yeah.
strange a time we are. I'm not sure who's keeping up with the academics in all of this, but that
Right.
is it. Even for a former player like you, Marcus, that's got to be, yeah, it's even got to be hard to wrap your head around a little bit, doesn't it? I mean, being that mobile,
Oh, for sure. Yeah, for sure, for sure. I mean,
seeking,
man, it's kind of like the sky's the limit for them,
yeah,
like as far as if they're not playing, they can kind of exhaust all their options as far as going to these different schools. But for me, myself personally, I don't think that would have been a thing for me because I went down the road up in Cleveland, Glenville, and you know, we got a pipeline here, and it's just more than just coming to school. It's
Yeah.
like, you know, we had a lot of representation, a lot of guys that came before me, you know, that came down to Ohio State, and so you know, Coach Ginn wouldn't let me
Yeah.
leave.
Finish what you start,
Basically, they
right?
just
Yeah.
yeah,
Make
exactly.
because everything's not going to always be rosy. Hey, I did want to. That's what I wanted to ask you too with the NIL. I like to get you former players on, but just man, the NIL has just changed the landscape. Also, when you couple it with the transfer portal, right? But can you
Yeah,
imagine
yeah.
back in the day, 11 years ago, you being able to, sell your wares, so to speak, in the NIL or have that kind of money available to you? You've heard some of the numbers. Who knows how much of it's really true? But where there's
Mhm.
smoke, there's some fire, right?
Right,
You-
right.
what would that have meant to you to be able to have like several $100,000 in your bank account minimum just to play college football?
Man, I would be lying to you if I said I wasn't a little jealous of these guys now getting this money, man. Because like you said, it's a lot different. These guys are able to, you know, provide for their families and like a lot way different than we were able to. We were still like, you know, the old school struggling college kids,
Yeah,
still
yeah,
living off the, you know, stipends and the rent checks, which was barely nothing. But these guys are able to buy cars and whatever they want. So I don't know. I think it's a good thing, you know. Even though it's bittersweet for like former players like me, it's a good thing, you know. They're able to start that foundation financially before they go to you know, the NFL. And we know guys sometimes get hurt and don't get, you know, paid like they should. But
yeah.
it's a good thing. But I always joke around with like my former buddies, my former teammates, like we need to start a little class action suit and get us some back pay or something, man.
Yeah. Well, hey, why not? It's a litigious society, man. It's like there was like several of the players from the 2000, well, it would have been the 2011 team, got in trouble for the Tatgate thing.
Right.
You were here then. I think you were around here then.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
but the thing is, I go, that sounds good to go back because almost everything there was legal now. You know what I mean? In some form or fashion, legal as in not against the rules. And as I point out to people, the NIL, that's a law protecting that now. That's not some NCAA
Yeah.
rule. But my point is, I always say to those guys, yeah, but you know what? That's like going back and you got a ticket for going 70, 65 in a 55, zone. And like 10
Mhm.
years later, they change the speed limit to 75. They're not gonna give you your money back, right?
Right, right,
Yeah.
right. No, that's a
Hey,
good example.
Hey, let me ask you this. When you left Ohio State, you obviously you tried to play tried to play pro football for a while and stuff. Give
Mhm.
people a little bit of an idea of your journey, and then when did it finally hit you? Football's done.
Man, so yeah, when I left Ohio State, I graduated in year 2014. I went undrafted as a free agent to the Indianapolis Colts. I was there for a while and like less than a year. And then I got an opportunity with the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I went to mini camp with the Pittsburgh Steelers. It didn't work out there. And you know, still trying to play football, working with your agent. So you know, my agent got me a shot up in Canada. So I went to the CFL, to Saskatchewan Roughriders. You know, and that was an experience. That was an experience in itself, you know. So
Yeah,
I'm thankful for, you know, all the experiences football brought me. But when I got to Canada, I kind of figured out these rules are different, and you know, it's just a lot different than what I'm used to. Including the pay, which was like, you know, I don't do it for the money, but kind of, you know, you gotta support yourself.
yeah.
So
Wait a
I
minute. The
kind of
double whammy
decided
there. Double whammy there was you were playing in the CFL and you were getting Canadian money, which is worth a lot less than American money. Now go ahead.
exactly. No, but that's all factors in, you know,
Yeah.
when you an adult and you trying to support yourself and you got things you need to do. So yeah, that was another thing. Like I would come back here and the money when I converted it would be a lot less. So I just decided it was time to get a career going, and I wanted to still play football. I think every former player wants to play forever, but we all know nobody plays forever. No matter how great the career you have, no matter how bad the career, nobody plays forever. So
Yeah.
I came back from Canada and kind of got into some different work and ended up doing sales for a while. So that was it was a good experience doing sales and seeing how that business world work with the banks and everything. Because I feel like guys always need that transition, from football and sports and going into the real world. Is like that makes all the difference because the guys always have the tools to transition and be the greatest at whatever they want to do, but you just have to see how you can work it in and
Yeah.
fit it in into the real world.
Take
So,
advantage of it. Yeah.
yeah. So I went through that process, and I, figured out that sales probably wasn't for me. But I met a lot of good people. Still maintain some of those relationships to this day, and I end up uh start driving the truck. So that ended up me getting my commercial driver's
Yeah.
license. And yeah, that was a cool experience, but I kind of knew that's not what I wanted to do. So and then I end up working with some guys that run group homes, youth group homes in Columbus.
Sure.
And yeah, that was a cool deal. Just being able to give back to the community, give back to the youth. They don't have a perfect situation, troubled family or situations they might have got into. So that was rewarding for
Sure.
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 And then after that, I kind of I started this process with the Columbus Fire Department in 2020. Actually, when I first decided I wanted to do that, I took the test. I had a former player that went to Ohio State that I talked to about it. He was on the staff with the Columbus Fire Department, Antonio Pittman, and
Sure.
yeah, I ended up taking the test. I passed it, and there was two more tests I had to take, but COVID had just happened when I took the test, so it pushed it back a while, and so it just stretched the whole process out so long for me. But I still stuck with it and took past each test that I had to take after that, and I had to continue the process with like interviews, background checks, medical exams, all type of stuff. And so, you know, end up doing all that, and so that brought me literally to this year. I just got an official job offer, and so I'm headed to the Columbus Fire Academy in May, and I'm planning. Hopefully, this will be my last. This will be a career move for me. That's what I'm hoping. So,
Yeah.
looking forward to
This is what I want to say. I want to see video of Marcus Hall coming down the pole, man. The alarm's going off. Got to get on that
it.
truck. Got to get those big boots on. And here you come sliding down the pole. What do you think?
I don't know about that. I think that's a little old school. And plus they need a heavy duty pole, man. They
Yeah.
probably don't have no guys 6'5", 280 coming down the pole. So
No, but that would
yeah.
be fun. Got that big cushion at the bottom now. They didn't always have that cushion, But yeah, I would definitely pay to see that. It's funny because you brought up Antonio Pittman, and a guy I've known for a long time and played football at Ohio State. Tony Coop. He used to show up at all the career days. When y'all would have those. The football, the sport, the athletic department, but football would have those career days of where you could go after football was over. You didn't want to believe
Yeah,
it could be over, right? But Tony Coop's
right.
one of the great guys you're ever going to meet. I think he's now working in Cincinnati. I may be wrong about that, but I
Okay.
want to ask you this: do you remember those real life Wednesdays that the Urban Meyer instituted? And just one of the reasons for that was to show not only there is life after football, but you kind of need to keep that in mind, right? Do you remember those
Oh
things?
yeah.
Did they
Oh
kind of
yeah.
how did that kind of jog with you, as your football career kind of came to an end?
Yeah, yeah. No, I remember that was real big in Urban, implemented that into the program. And I enjoyed that. Because like you said, man, you can see guys that was once sitting in the seat you were sitting in,
Yeah.
and now they transferred over and transferred their skills over to something that you might be doing one day, or
Yeah.
it's just a big inspiration. And like a big motivation for when that time does come that, okay, I remember seeing that guy, he worked in the bank or he worked in insurance or sales, so it's like that's might be somebody you can tap in with and get with, and they can help you out in that way.
Yeah.
Because like, they want to see you succeed too. They were a former athlete, so you got that in common. So yeah, the real life Wednesdays, I enjoyed that a lot, man. What Urban used to bring different people in.
Yeah, I was gonna say, a lot of people thought, at some points, I mean, Urban gets kind of a weird rap sometimes, about all he cares about is winning in football. Well, of course he does. That's his job,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
you didn't have to do the real life Wednesday things, for example, and he got that done because he wanted to open your eyes. It's really funny because former player, I've brought this up several times on different things, but Obi Stillwell, I don't know if you've ever met him or not, but great
hmm,
guy, former player. And he made a good point to me one time. He said, football is one of those rare things. I mean, yeah, it happens in other sports, but football usually somebody else tells you you're no longer playing. You know what I mean? You don't, most players never get to make that call, in a
right, right,
formal sense. In some form or fashion, you're told, hey, it's over. The invite
hmm,
doesn't come, whatever. And that is interesting because you can always go out if you're a golfer, you can hit a golf ball till you're 110 years old. You can find somebody to play tennis with you, right on down the line. You can go shoot hoop, right?
right,
If
right,
you're a basketball
right.
player. But when you're a lineman in football, you know, it's when it's over, right, Marcus? I mean,
Yeah,
you don't go
yeah,
out in the
for
street
sure.
and just start playing lineman stuff.
Yeah, nah. Even though you want to, you just out
Oh
here
yeah,
walking next to people. You feel like you just want to pancake them every now and then.
yeah,
But
yeah.
no,
That's
man. Yeah,
against the law,
when it's
right? Yeah,
over, right, right. When it's over, man. So, like I said, you take them different qualities you had, like specific to being an O lineman. You naturally like a protector, and you protecting your running backs and your quarterback. So,
yeah.
I don't know, man. It's just like you just find a way to transfer them skills over, with the mental toughness and determination, perseverance, all that stuff that goes into playing at a high level. Just find a way to transfer it over, man, and be
Plus,
great at something else.
plus you're naturally a big guy, and then you've gotten bigger to play football and stuff. That's it's kind of like
Right,
you can spot a former lineman or a former basketball player in an airport, usually. But
for
then you
sure.
but then you learn, hey, I don't need to carry all this weight anymore. I mean, you're pretty slim and trim now and stuff. And
Yeah.
what is your firefighting weight right now?
Oh man, so I would say
I didn't mean to hit you sideways with
like
that, but I thought you looked
nah,
pretty
nah,
slim and
because I
trim, compared to the good old
yeah,
days.
yeah, I would say I would say my firefighting weight I would know probably after the academy because I'm
Yeah.
sure I'm gonna lose a couple pounds in the academy. But I mean, since I played football, I would say I probably lost like 50, 60 pounds.
Yeah.
The most I weighed when I played football was 340, and
Wow.
I'm 6'5". So now I'm down to like 275, 280. So, and being 6'5", you always gonna look a little slim if you uh lose some weight. So yeah, man, I like you said, you're not pushing that weight anymore. You ain't getting fed by the program like you was. So
Yeah.
it just falls off easy, to be honest. You just gotta kind of tone up and do cardio. You always gonna be a big guy, so you could lift once or twice a week and maintain that. But I think cardio for me is the biggest thing, and like the joints, man. My knees, a lot of guys always talk about their knees. My knees, man. So I'm a that's what I'm keying in on all the time is just keeping my joints good and cardio.
Yeah. I remember Tyleek Williams, he's a current defensive tackle at Ohio State. And a couple of years ago, he talked about how he'd lost, I think it was like 25 or 30 pounds in the workouts. He was like, how you can be too big. I said, well, you ever go in the weight room there and pick up like a 25 or 30 pound dumbbell and realize, you used to be carrying that, extra,
Yeah, yeah.
and it does make a difference, right? I mean, and I would think you feel kind of spry once you lose like 50, 60, 70 pounds, don't you, Marcus?
Yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. It probably wouldn't feel the best if you was trying to stop a bull rush
No.
from a D lineman, but just in everyday life, man, you feel great. I feel great. It feels great to be able to run. I'm never uh, I was joking with a friend. I've never ran miles before, and then
Yeah,
just recently I started running miles. I run like 4 or 5 miles, probably like once or twice a week, and it's like, man, I never thought I'd be doing this. So it's
yeah.
like this to not have that extra weight on, man. It's a great feeling.
Hey, what do you miss most about the game of football when you're no longer playing it? I mean, I know the camaraderie in the locker room is, is like nothing. Well, I don't know. You'll feel that with the fire department because you guys are going to go into burning buildings together. You better feel like a team, right? But
Right,
what
right,
what what is it you got to do as a football player? And you kind of touched on it a minute ago. If you want to knock somebody down, you go knock them down. It's illegal, right? As on
right.
the football field, but what is it about just the playing of the game that you miss the most?
Man, if I had to name one thing about the game that I missed the most, it would probably be the intensity. Urban used to always tell us like strain, strain, no matter what we was doing, if we was lifting weights, running, uh, on the field, practicing strain. So it's like straining and that intensity, you don't always get that in everyday life. And then the people that you come across after you play football, they don't always understand that. So it's like you kind of gotta take a step back, but you still able to tap into that if you need to. So the intensity is kind of addicting, man. You with Coach Mick there and Urban, they used to always say embrace the grind, embrace the suck. So
Yeah,
man, you do it so much that you start to love it.
yeah,
Yeah, so I miss that a lot, but you can always do that in your personal workouts and stuff. I always push myself, and whatever it is, man. Like I was saying before, transferring those skills over. If it's studying for something, or you can always transfer that and push yourself a little bit more because you got that training, and you can always tap back into that.
yeah. I was gonna say, I mean, especially under Urban, tough love, tough practices, uh, tough workouts, make for a tough team,
Right.
and you think, well, that's kind of cliche, kind of sounding and whatever, but that separates the elite, right? I mean, it
Oh
really
yeah.
does.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I appreciate, man. I was just telling Mick, I talked to Urban. I appreciate those guys for planting those seeds, and Tressel as well.
Yeah,
My goes back to Coach Ginn, to Coach Ted Ginn at Glenville High School, man. All my coaches, I was blessed to have all these Hall of Fame coaches, man, and they plant these seeds, and I let them know that I'm appreciative of it, man, because it follows you throughout life. It gives you those tools to put in your tool belt. You can use them throughout life, man. You just not average.
yeah, that's that old,
Yeah,
that great speech that Urban gave you guys out there on the practice field. Who wants to be average? You know what I mean?
yeah,
I mean,
right,
that's easy.
right.
Who wants to be
Yeah,
average?
yeah,
And it rings so true. Jim Trussell the exact same way. And like you said, Ted Ginn Sr. He understood, that he has some guys there who were aspiring to move on in some form or fashion and stuff. And the only way you do it is to outwork the other guy. But then not just work to work, but work for a purpose, right?
for
Yeah,
sure. Yeah, have a goal in mind, and Urban used to always tell us, and Tressel used to say this too. Visualize the night before what you're gonna do in the game, and go do it. And I
yeah,
thought as a freshman, I didn't understand that, but the older I got in my career, I started to do it, and it's really something about that works.
yeah. And yeah,
Yeah.
that is interesting. You were around Trussell and Urban, uh, kind of different fellas off the field. Different fellas to talk to, different people to talk to. But what do you think? Like you just said, you just gave an example. What do you think they had in common that allowed them to lead a team to a national championship? I mean, what was kind of a common factor between those two? Was it just the uh, emphasis on detail, on effort and detail? What would you say, Marcus?
That's exactly what I was thinking, man. Tim, it was like the emphasis on the details, man. Like
Yeah,
the small things. Tress would not let one small thing slip by. Like if we were watching film and a guy didn't step right or didn't do his job exactly how he was supposed to, he would call it out. And Urban would do the same, but they, like you said, they two different guys, two different coaches. they both had uh quite different deliveries about it,
Yeah,
but they got their point across. So yeah, man, those guys very very detailed coaches.
yeah. Hey, last couple things. I wanted to ask you this too. Every time I get to watch, well, anytime you watch a real football game, but even when I get to watch practice now, I was telling Coach Larry Johnson this the other day, and uh, and Justin Fry was talking about it a little bit as we were interviewing him this week, the offensive line coach. But I mean, line play anymore in the modern game looks like a mix of martial arts and boxing. You know what I mean? I mean, because
Yeah.
you're trying to get hands are so important. I mean, they were important when you
Hmm.
played too. You know what I'm saying? But it's like there's not really a playoff, for an offensive lineman or a defensive lineman. There's going to be a collision of some sorts and stuff. But the really good ones, I mean, you got to have nasty at your core, don't you?
Oh yeah.
You got to be willing to for a little saying goes to swing away, right?
Right.
And in the course of a game, just like in the course of a boxing match, you get to the 12th round of a boxing match or 10th round, it's the guy that's conditioned as much to take the punch as it is to give the punch, that finally
Hmm.
holds sway. But it is a vicious game, isn't it?
Right. No, it is, man. You gotta be savage out there. And I'm gonna just say this. I'm a little biased to offensive line, obviously. I do think defensive linemen can take plays off because
Oh yeah,
if they don't get a the tackle to running back, or if they don't get a tackle or a sack, it's not they're not called out on it. But if an
yeah,
offensive lineman messes up, if he misses a block or false start, anything, he's going to get called out on it. You never get the praise when you do your job, but
yeah,
if you mess up, that's when they call your name. But that's why offensive linemen are the type of people that they are, man. It's just workers. And I've been around a lot of different offensive line coaches, a lot of offensive linemen, and like they usually the humblest guys on the team, but willing to work the hardest. So I'm thankful I was an offensive lineman, man. It's the best position to be in football, even though you don't get the glory. Hey.
that's what I always tell people, Marcus. You go to a game, you're heading into a game, and you see over there at some tailgate, there's a couple of kids throwing the football around, playing.
Right.
We're not playing football. That's not
Yeah.
football. It's like throw throw five 310-pound guys in front of you, and they're taking on four 280 to 270 to 310-pound guys with linebackers behind them, and they're coming and they're all trying to, these guys are trying to protect you and these guys are trying to knock you into the asphalt. That's
Hmm.
football, right? And
Oh yeah.
learning to live in that mayhem. But did you ever step back at one point, in a game and just marvel uh, at the chaos or the mayhem going on around you? I don't mean you stopped in the middle of a play, but there had to be
Right.
some moments where you go, man, we're grown men and we're just knocking the hell out of each other here. You know what I mean? There had to
Yeah,
be those
yeah.
moments, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, man. I would say making that transition from high school, from Glenville to
Yeah.
coming to Ohio State, from my senior year in high school to freshman at Ohio State, that's when I realized, okay, yeah, these are grown men. It's different. It's a different game.
Yeah.
So it's like you gotta work. You gotta work at your craft in the weight room, on the field, if you want to get there one day.
Yeah.
It's very rarely that guys just come in from high school ready, to play. So when I seen some of these guys, man, uh, like when I was coming in, Cam Hayward was still at Ohio State. I was on scout team, blocking him or trying to block him every day, and it was just like it was making me better. Yeah, even though I, barely probably could block him, but eventually, I was getting better, better and better, just going against the best, man. So,
Yeah.
um,
Hey, what was that?
yeah,
Real quick, what was that? What was special? Cam's still playing, at a
yeah,
high
right,
level
right.
for the Steelers. I mean, what was special about him from you? Because you had his up close and personal, uh, a vantage point of knowing why is this guy continued to be good? What drives that guy?
Man, I would say Cam is the hardest working D lineman I've ever seen. Because D linemen are known for taking plays off, but
Yeah,
Cam, he never took a play off. He's gonna come with the same intensity every time. So and I think half of it is genetics too. You know, we know who his dad was,
Yeah.
man, legend. And
Ironhead.
yeah, so I think he has some good genetics and he was raised right, man. Like he's a hard worker.
Yeah.
And when you put that work in like that, it shows.
His mom, one of the great people I've ever met, by the way. And then number three, uh, Cam plays a smart game too. You know, I mean, those are the toughest is when they're really pretty tough and good, but they're also very smart, right? They're figuring stuff
Right.
out.
Yep. Yeah, he's obviously figured it out, you
Yeah.
know, how to beat Father Time, man. He's still, like you said, still playing in the league. Like I'm wondering, like, when is this guy gonna retire? He still looks fresh as he was when he got in the league. So it's
Yeah.
like, man, that's amazing.
Hey, last thing, like I said, you got to watch that scrimmage, but I always call that student appreciation day. I always call it media appreciation day because we get to watch too. Mad. Uh,
Yeah.
from sad to mad. Fad, former player. Fapad, former player appreciation day. That's your ballywick. What just jumps out at you about this Ohio State team? Obviously, scrimmages, it's kind of hard to put two and two together. They were mixing and matching the lines. You know what I mean? They would have the
Mhm.
number one left side in with the number one with the number two right side and vice versa, flipping some guys occasionally, like over at right guard, right tackle. You know, Josh Fryer, I think, has really come on at right tackle, played there last year. Josh Simmons, like you pointed out, transferred in from San Diego State a year ago and started at left tackle. And then you got Donovan Jackson. Then you got Carson Hinsman or Seth McLaughlin, the kid transferred in from Alabama. And then you got Luke Montgomery, a guy that they, recruited big time tackle out of Finley, who's now playing right guard. But who knows who's going to be where when it all settles out. But just from your vantage point of any position on the field, what just jumped out at you about that team?
Man, I'm biased to the offense, obviously, but I would have to say the running backs, that backfield is explosive and it's got a lot of talent back there, man. I
Yeah,
can't wait to see them guys.
yeah,
And then the receivers too, man. Our receivers, that receiver room is loaded. They're
yeah,
loaded. I know, Ohio State has had countless receivers in the years, but I can really tell that, Marvin Harrison has kind of set the bar, and them guys is chasing greatness, man.
yeah.
And they gonna be good.
That's right. Hey, it really it's going to be a special year. You just got this sense about it because it seems like all the pieces have come together. Including a much more veteran offensive line, which at times last year against the better teams, kind of like you know, uh, yeah, I don't know, was not as good as it needed to be. Let's put it that way. And I
Yeah,
think they all
yeah,
sense that, right? There's nothing,
yeah,
there's nothing like being part of a group, is there, Marcus? Where you're judged by how the group does. Like Josh Fryer and I were talking about today. Uh, we got to talk to him. You may do your job on that play, but if the guy next to you doesn't, or the guy two people down from you doesn't, you're all judged the same way. Look at the offensive line again. Look what they did, right? Or
yep,
didn't do.
exactly. Yeah, no, for sure. I know exactly how that is, man. That's like a bittersweet thing because that's when you guys gel together and you come together. Like it's nothing like that, man. You are all on the same page. It's nothing like that. You can think each other thoughts when in some of them stadiums in Happy Valley when it's so loud. You can like just look at each other and know what each other thinking pre-snap. So
Yeah.
that's when it gets special right there, So hopefully them guys can get to that point. I feel like that's where we were my senior year, man, with Jack Muhort, Andrew Norwell, Corey Lensley, myself, Taylor Decker, and Reed Fregel was both at the right tackle. But
Yeah.
yeah, man, we all came in together as freshmen, and then it all happened like we were all starting about I think 2 years, 2 years
Yeah.
together, but we played for three about a long time together, man. So it was special my senior year
Yeah. I was
at
gonna
offensive
say,
line.
yeah. I was gonna say y'all didn't get quite I mean, it was just like once it clicked, right? I mean,
Yeah,
that's the
right,
interesting part. Hey,
right.
Marcus Hall, man, thanks for joining me. Thanks for not shooting the double eagle at me. Uh
It
I caught the
was
double
a
eagle.
one-time thing. It
Yeah,
was a
yeah, yeah,
one-time
yeah.
thing, man. My mom would get too mad at me if I did a repeat.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you come out of, if y'all put out a fire, down the road, if you come out there going, yeah, we got you, house, and then whatever.
Yeah.
No, you don't want that on the 11 o'clock news. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
nah.
Marcus Hall, man, thanks for joining me, and good luck to you down the road, man. Because I think you have definitely chosen an honorable profession. Fireman, you can't get any more honorable than that. A man who's running this way when you're running that way. First responders, they should be the most highly paid people in the country. Not that that's ever going to happen, right, Marcus?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I doubt that, but I wouldn't be mad if it
Yeah.
did happen.
I didn't think you'd
I
be.
wouldn't.
Maybe you can get an NIL deal with the Columbus Fire Department, but we'll see
Hey,
where that goes.
maybe hey, don't give me no ideas.
There you go. Yeah, this fireman brought to you by whatever Ford.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
But anyway, appreciate it, Marcus, and ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. And until next week, a little primer going into the spring game. We'll see you then.
All right. Thanks, Tim. Appreciate it.